On today's coffee with Mikey, I am finishing off the rest of the dark Mexican roast. It's pretty good. This is my second serving, my second mason jar. It's probably one and a half because I didn't finish the first one. I just refilled it with a hot coffee. Um, and I put a lot of milk in this one. I probably put 8 ounces of milk in this one. I didn't measure the honey. I kind of just pour it until I feel like that's enough. And I put a different protein powder in there. So I put something called the Whole Feast, right? And it blends very well. It's a super fine powder. It doesn't really clump when I blend it with the immersion blender. And it just went in very well. And it's smooth. It doesn't like linger as much at the bottom. I don't know if you can really see it, but yeah, that's what I'm going with now. A bit of protein powder in my coffee because it helps satiate my hunger where I'm getting like the protein and it helps me I don't just feel fuller throughout the day so I'm not like stopping to get lunch or anything like that. I mean I do eat lunch but since I work from home it could be difficult right to get a break where I stop for lunch and eat. I usually just order out like I get like Chipotle because I love Chipotle. But two bowls of Chipotle delivery is like $60 plus tip, right? So like sometimes $70 and $70 for lunch is a lot of money. Um, Not that I'm eating both bowls at the same time. I usually eat one and save the other one for dinner. So it's really 35. But still, a lot of money. $35 a meal is unreasonable for a lot of people. Um, So I'm being better and more mindful about that and cooking more at home. I've had meal prep services deliver meals to me that are pretty good. I've been more mindful about that as well because I'll just stop eating them. I'll see it in the fridge and be like, well, I don't want to warm up, or I don't want to eat the same thing again, or just something in me that wants to go out and be social and eat out, which I do a lot of, but I just have to be more mindful about spending. Especially now in the master's program, and those are expensive. um, Luckily, my job reimburses tuition assistance, so um, yeah, that's it. But the coffee's good. So I brewed a second batch of the coffee with the same grinds, and it came out like much lighter, which is good because I just didn't switch to decaf, which I probably should have. And I will do that in the future. I just really think about it like, oh yeah, we can just use the same grinds. It'll be lighter, and I'll still get that like the small kick from the coffee, which I'm happy about. It is probably something that I can do better with in the future. Hmm. So what's on my mind today? I think I'm doing a lot of reflective work. I have to do my MQ lab report, right? Or the MQ lab report, the EQ lab report, like and talk about the concept of hosting in my life, talk about the one-on-one I did with somebody else in the program, and like a meet and greet with other students in the program. So we did meet a lot of other students in during orientation a couple weeks ago, and it was great to interact with people and switch partners and share our experiences and why we're in the program and how we expect the program to work for us. And when I did the one-on-one with one of the other students, the practice was to have a blank expression. I mean, not blank, but like be fully present and not give them any tells. And like nodding, we do this unconsciously or consciously, like we'll nod or we'll like, move our eyebrows and, um, when we'll give like verbal cues or texts that keeps people going. So the the exercise was for 10 minutes to let the other person talk. And you, as the coach, be silent and have a very neutral facial expression as the person expresses themselves. And that is very difficult for me. I told my family at dinner the other night that I was like, yeah, so this is the assignment, and I'm not supposed to have any like, uh, I'm not supposed to emote at all. And they just laughed and like, you not emote? And it was really funny. So we did the exercise. It went really well. I did raise an eyebrow at one point, got me really good. And I agreed with a lot of things he was saying. And like my role is to stay grounded and present while this person's speaking. And like I spent a lot of willpower trying to stay neutral. I like closed my mouth. I wasn't clenching my jaw, I don't think, but I was definitely like doing things to stop me from responding or and breaking character, let's say. And I started like scratching a little bit, like off camera, and I was like, you know, just like trying to keep my hands busy, like rubbing my thighs, or um, and like to keep my jaw closed, I started like licking the back of my teeth, right? Like and pressing my tongue against the top of my mouth. So like I wouldn't like move my mouth and kind of move my head and things like that. And just try to stay neutral while the person's talking. That's hard to do for me. Very hard to do because I'm very expressive. I like to communicate with people. In the past, I mean, historically, I get so excited I like cut people off, and I try to finish their sentences. I haven't done that in a long time. I think like once I started regulating my nervous system with meditation and breath work and just being more calm, that's helped me not be overexcited and have that energy in being present in the conversation and not like jumping into the conversation and just being like, oh, and the program talks about different levels of conversation. And we want to get to the point where like we don't get stuck in the other person's story or and we want to be able to reflect back what they're saying to them without interrupting them, without letting them finish their thought process, right? Letting them finish the loop. So we have a complete emotional um, cycle and that we don't have unfinished business within that. So we help people work through what they're working through. That is what I think the exercise helps me do. That is what I think the point of the exercise is for me to sit still and not be emotive and but still be present and listen to what the person's saying and not take on that person's emotions while I'm coaching them while we're in this setting and to be present and available while actively listening to what they're saying and not get too involved in their story and not get like absorbed into the situation um, because he was telling me things that I agreed with and I was like, yeah, hell yeah, right? Like so internally I'm like screaming like yeah, dude, like absolutely, I completely agree with you. And he said something about some of the work that he's done, and I was like, oh, dude, I've done the same thing, right? But like I can't, as part of the exercise, emote and reassure in the ways that I would traditionally. And like I look back at other coaching sessions I've had in the past where like I overproduce the person I'm speaking to. Like I get more angry, I get more sad. It happens in one-on-ones where I just kind of get like upset and like, I want to advocate for this person and I want to show that I'm on their side. And I hear them by expressing my discontent or my opinion very strongly. Um, and this exercise has taught me, right? I think we're doing it for another like 2 or 3 weeks where we're more blank and less expressive. Um, I don't have to do all that. I can just let the person talk. And while they're talking, it is like I am a verbal processor. It helps them process what they're experiencing verbally. And I think I'm like lighter. I feel less burden because of it, because I don't feel the need to jump in and express my emotions so heavily, right? Now it's just being present with the person and making sure they feel heard, making sure they feel seen, making sure that, I'm not just waiting to respond. And I've been in situations where the person's not actively listening to me, they're just waiting to respond because it's rude to cut people off, right? I've been that person as well. And as I've matured and learned how to communicate better, I just want to understand where the person's coming from that I'm speaking to. And I think that it's growth for me, for sure. And I'm really happy with it. I'm really happy with what I'm learning in the program. I'm really happy with how we go about things. I doing a master's program on top of having a full-time job where you manage 12 people, ridiculous, right? It is way more than I thought um, it would be, right? Especially like the emotional taxing. Like I've been exhausted since orientation weekend with like the travel and then doing this work and writing the papers and doing all the readings and watching the videos. I don't think it's unreasonable, right? They're not making me read like a whole book every month, right? But I mean, it's a lot more than I was doing before. And processing all these emotions that I repressed for so long, I think overall it's been beneficial because I just feel lighter. I feel like less burden. I feel like, oh, I have been taking on all these expectations of other people, even though like I've been on this journey of saying no, right? And releasing the expectations. I still have them like subconsciously, and I'm working through that to make sure like, am I doing this for me or am I doing this because I think it looks good, right? But because I think like, my long deceased parents would be proud of me because of it, or because I actually want to do it. Right? Ooh, ooh, ooh. I feel a lot of hurt um, saying that. Yeah, because my parents wanted like a medical doctor or a lawyer in the family, and here I am, like this tech manager that makes more than some of his friends in those professions. Not all of them, right? And I have less debt than they do. So not that they don't live good lives, but yeah, we're all on separate journeys. I think trying to fit into somebody else's expectation or their box for you is not what we're here for. We're here to live our own lives and be happy with who we are, what we're doing. And right now, I am happy with who I am and what I'm doing. So, I mean, there's that. Like I said, the exercise has been really good. I'm really happy with it. And, in between, so like I was 10 minutes listening to him. We did a debrief, right? It was so good because I was like, man, and he noticed like when I did the eyebrow twitch, and then he mentioned that. And I was like, dude, like I just wanted to like scream like fuck yeah, yes, absolutely. Which is what I would do in other sessions when I don't dysregulate, but like when I get really excited. Um, but yeah, and then we did my 10 minutes talking. I did like 9 minutes. And then I was like, you just want to eye gaze for a minute. So like we just like looked at each other in the eye, which is really hard for a lot of uncomfortable, even over Zoom for a lot of people. And I told him about an eye gazing exercise that I did with a training I did um earlier this year. And we like eye gazed for like 20 minutes just because the person that was on the other side of the call, like we were like listening to a video at the same time. The video was supposed to take us out of it. He had paused the video, yeah, so we were looking at each other for a long time. It's very uncomfortable. Even in person, locking eyes and holding somebody's gaze is um, it's very intimate activity, right? And like I am not somebody who really does that. Um, it's really uncomfortable for me. I don't like locking eyes and holding somebody's gaze unless I'm already intimately familiar with that person. So I don't enjoy it. I think it's a violation of somebody's personal space or privacy. When you do that, so I don't do that. Um, and when somebody tries to like to force you to do that, uh, it's difficult for me to do without consent, right? Consent's really important for me. Um, yeah. Anyway, that's 15. It's actually almost 17 minutes, but that's today's coffee with Mikey. Thank you. Um, Call to action. If you want to book a call, if you want to have a coffee talk, let me know. Thanks all. Take care. Bye.